WSTKS-FM Worldwide, digital collaborative learning for the 21st century. Hello everyone, it's Professor Schwartz here in the WSTKS-FM Worldwide studios located in beautiful mid-Michigan. Join me on a lovely and cool fall day to look at 7 reasons your student learning team's list of core values might not be working and how to fix that as we enter the second half of the course. When you follow the advice presented in today's program, you set yourself up to succeed through the active cultivation of numerous 21st century employability skills as you and your student learning team examine course materials, create, and share knowledge about them each week. Through your ongoing and democratic process of collaboration, your own learning and related coursework become more cohesive, efficient, and meaningful. We'll get started in earnest after a quick station identification. Sit tight. You're listening to WSTKS-FM Worldwide, digital collaborative learning for the 21st century. If you find this podcast helpful, be sure to hit like, share, and subscribe. All right, everyone, here we go. At this point in the course, you might find yourself thinking, something isn't working for our student learning team. Not everybody bothers to turn up to our meetings each week. People aren't prepared when they do show up, and only 2 or 3 of us actually contributed to the development of our first major project. It's really been frustrating. Well, unfortunately, this kind of thing happens sometimes, and it can often be traced back to your list of core team values, which were a task that was part of your first collaborative meeting in week 3, when student learning teams should have met for the first time. So let's revisit that point now. Collectively, your team should sit down together in real time as soon as possible, reevaluate your core values, and develop those in more detail to change your team dynamic through the creation of a clear list of expectations for the members of your student learning team. By doing that, you not only demonstrate what you believe, but you clarify with precision the specific habits, practices, and behavior you will hold yourselves and each other accountable to. Ideally, your revised list of core student learning team values will communicate this is how we expect team members to show up, how we treat each other, and how we impact each other. When we come back, we'll jump into 7 possible reasons your team's core values aren't quite working like they should, and how you can fix that as we enter the second half of the course. Okay, I've got another mug of coffee, and my feline bud, Onyx the cat, is now ensconced at my right elbow, so let's get started. As a reminder, we're looking at 7 reasons your student learning team's list of core values might not be working as it could for your team at this point, and how you might fix that. The first reason your list of core student learning team values might not be working as it should is that there is a disconnect between what your team has said it wants and the values your members already have. Think of it like this. If you have a vegetable garden that's already full of plants with the potential to grow and yield a nice harvest of lettuce, tomatoes, and cucumbers by late summer, you probably aren't going to pull them out and start from scratch by mid-July. Instead, you're going to continue watering and caring for those plants to help them grow and thrive. Along similar lines, what your team should do now in its revision of its core team values is to clarify and focus on the strengths that your members exhibit now. Instead of daydreaming about what you want to be, define who you are already as a student learning team and use that to reshape the dynamic as you move forward in the course, the team dynamic, that is. Another reason your list of core student learning team values might no longer be working could be because you overloaded yourselves with values when you first discussed and created your list earlier in the semester, focusing on quantity rather than quality. In other words, your team members might be trying too hard to hit too many targets instead of aiming at fewer but more well-defined values and expectations for your teamwork each week. Instead, everyone needs to sit down together in real time, no excuses, to revisit that earlier list of team values and whittle it down into something more manageable. Your list will become far more useful when everyone knows and understands the values articulated therein, because there are fewer points to define, interpret, and remember. Your team members won't need to revisit and rediscuss these principles every week because everyone will already grasp them. In turn, that will help your members recommit to fostering a more cohesive dynamic as all of you move forward through the remaining collaborative activities each week and larger team projects. To put it another way, if you find your student learning team's values are easily forgotten or difficult to remember, pare that list down by identifying those that have the most impact on helping your members perform their tasks each week. Keep those and delete the rest. Following another station identification, I'll be right back with additional reasons your student learning team's list of core values isn't working and how you can fix the problem. You're listening to WSTKS-FM Worldwide, digital collaborative learning for the 21st century. If you find this podcast helpful, be sure to hit like, share, and subscribe. Let's continue now our look at 7 reasons your student learning team's list of core values isn't working and how you can fix that. A third possibility to consider is that the difficulties with your list of core values, at least in its current form, might be due to a failure to recognize and reinforce those same core values. Look, it's all well and good to talk about what is most important to the members of your team, compile and clarify your list of related core values, make up a word cloud, and then put that into your team's folder on Google Drive. But when you don't do anything more than that, it's really hard to foster a team dynamic in which members hold themselves to those expectations each week. A more effective approach is to look for ways that all of you can recognize and highlight team members who demonstrate especially well adherence to your team's core values. In other words, you want to recognize and spotlight each other's successes from week to week for members who go above and beyond basic requirements already outlined within your list of values. To that end, look for small ways to recognize and celebrate team members who exemplify one or more of your core values in their activities. That reinforces the idea that members are doing things the right way and also provides a handy example of expected habits, practices, and interactions to the rest of the team. A fourth cause of problems in connection to your present list of student learning team core values could be due to attitudes and egos. Remember that you need to collaborate and work together to create and foster a cohesive dynamic within your team, so you want to avoid making each team discussion and interaction solely about yourself. Doing that undermines overall team morale because the other members will eventually come to feel that your collective list of core values is largely meaningless. A more effective way forward is for the members of your student learning team to leave the attitudes and egos at the door. Avoid thinking and talking only about your own personal interests and concerns. Instead of emailing your team members with excuses that you are too busy to complete X, Y, or Z, get on board with everyone, be proactive, and ask how you can help to achieve the team goals for a given week, even if or when you cannot necessarily make a scheduled meeting for face-to-face collaboration. And then, this is important, and then follow through with those commitments rather than letting things slide and leaving your team members in a lurch. Hello again, everyone. Let's continue our discussion of 7 reasons your student learning team's core values might not be working like they should, and look at how to fix that. Reason number 5, maybe the initial list of core values your student learning team created back in week 3 when you met for the first time is no longer entirely relevant. Hey, times and situations change. People come and go. If there are 1 or 2 people on your team who have dropped the course or otherwise disappeared, your remaining team members might feel like, our current list of values? That's not really us anymore. If that sounds familiar, it might be a good time for the remaining members of your team to revisit, revamp, and revise your list of core values. Doing so will realign those values with who your student learning team is now at the middle part of the semester, rather than 7 or 8 weeks ago. Your team dynamic will be revitalized and reinvigorated in the process. Besides, updating your team's list of core values is something everyone can embrace and get excited about as you look ahead to the second half of the course. A 6th reason your student learning team's list of core values isn't working for you anymore? Well, that might be because your team members have been trying too hard back in week 3, coming up with values because, and I quote here, Schwartz said we have to do that, unquote. That particular view is not as helpful as it might be, though. Ideally, your team's list of core values should be discovered rather than designed. Team values only matter when they are unique and meaningful to all of your members. Could each person on your student learning team look at your list of values and recognize the team behind them? If the answer is a maybe or a definite no, your values aren't unique or meaningful enough to be truly important. Your team should strongly consider then revisiting and revising its list of values to pave the way for a smoother ride into and through the second half of the course. When we come back after another station identification, we'll start to wind things down for today by looking at a 7th and final reason your student learning team's list of core values might not be working as well as it could by this point in the term. You're listening to WSTKS-FM Worldwide, digital collaborative learning for the 21st century. If you find this podcast helpful, be sure to hit like, share, and subscribe. And we're back. Let's look now at the 7th and final reason your student learning team's list of core values might not be working as well as it could by this point in the course. We're taking an honest look at the situation here. The problem could stem from the fact that your team skipped out altogether on creating a list of values that clearly outline expected habits, processes, and procedures. And that makes it difficult for your team to function cohesively each week now as it attempts to navigate the collaborative activities around which my courses are designed. But never fear. It's not too late for your student learning team to get on board, hop into the driver's seat, and collectively rethink how you will move forward during the remaining weeks of the course, roughly the second half. A key part of collaborative learning is that activities are student-centered and student-directed. In short, it is the members of your student learning team who will need to reboot at this point, sit down together in real time, craft and define a list of core values that enumerates clearly team expectations, habits, and practices. Even though we are well into the course at this point, taking the time to do that with all members of your student learning team present and accounted for will help you to reshape, refocus, and redouble your efforts as you collaborate to address remaining weekly assignments and any outstanding team projects. In just a minute, I'll be right back with a few final words for today. Welcome back, everyone. Okay, that will do it for today's program. Use the 7 points shared in today's episode to revisit, revise, and revamp your student learning team's list of core values for the second half of the semester. You'll be glad you did when teamwork habits and related team dynamic become more cohesive, you become better able to collaborate effectively, and your learning becomes more meaningful in the process. Tune in again for more helpful tips, tricks, and advice based on my 25 plus years of teaching and working with thousands of undergrads at 3 Big Ten universities across the upper Midwest of the United States. In the meantime, thank you for joining me again. I'll see you in class, online, and during Zoom office hours if you drop by with a question. Stay healthy, have a safe and a productive week in the meantime. With special regards from Onyx, the cat what am. So long, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye for now. You've just heard a podcast from WSTKS-FM Worldwide, digital collaborative learning for the 21st century.